controls on every street and set up perimeter, everything in.
Okay, we're live on YouTube and I'm starting the recording, just so you know.
Thank you.
My video is not working right now. The audio is.
Good evening, Alana.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Clarence.
I say my video is not working for some reason. I'm starting up another computer, but it's going to take a while.
Okay. Gary, I don't know if you're talking to us, but we can't hear you.
No, that's fine. I've got somebody behind me, so I don't want them hearing the video. So I'm trying to tell them what they can, where they are hiding out. Okay.
Hey, Ray.
Hey,
So just for everyone's information, we are already live on YouTube and recording. And it is 7 p.m. so we can call to order. I do have an addition to the agenda this evening, this evening under in-camera items 13.1. It is an HR item. Are there any other additions or changes to the agenda tonight? No, seeing none. All right, I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Salatke, seconded by Councillor Loreen. Any further questions or comments on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, did we lose Grad?
No, I'm here.
Okay, okay. I just didn't hear.
Alana's on the phone, so
Okay. Okay. So we'll move on to item number 3, declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. Is there any declarations this evening? Seeing none. All right, on to delegations, presentations, or petitions. We had the RCMP report. I know that Detachment Commander Coco Tom was going to try to join us tonight. Don't think he's on the line though, is he?
no, and he's not in the waiting room, so there's.
Okay. So if he does make it on the call, we'll add him back in. Were there any questions or comments on the report? Seeing none. Oh, I see Paul's there too. All right. So 4.2 is the mayor's message to the grads. So I just had a little congratulations here that I wanted to read out for them. I know that myself and council are very proud of all the graduates this year, and it's a very strange year for them. So without any hesitation, we'll go ahead. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the accomplishments of the grad class of 2020. This final year has been unlike any other. You and your support system of friends, parents, guardians, teachers, and countless others have been working for the past 18 or so years to get you to this place, and your hard work has paid off. I'm proud of you, your community is proud of you, and we're excited to see how you'll shape the future of our town, our territory, and the world. With that, congratulations to the class of 2020. Yay. Thank you. So we can move on to public question period. SAO Hood, did we have any submissions for this evening?
I had not received any.
Okay, thank you. On to adoption of the minutes. 6.1, the minutes of the June 15th, 2020 council meeting. I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor McBride, seconded by Councillor Wood. Any questions or comments on these minutes? Seeing none. All right, all in favor?
Yes.
So moved, thank you. 6.2 are the minutes of the June 16th, 2020 Public Works Committee meeting. I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Loreen. And a seconder, Councillor McBride. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the Public Works Committee meeting minutes? Seeing none. All right, with that, I'll call to vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. On to 6.3, the minutes of the June 17th, 2020 Bylaw Review Committee meeting. Look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor McBride, seconded by Councillor Salatke. Any questions or comments on the Bylaw Review Committee meeting minutes? Seeing none. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. On to 6.4, the minutes of the June 18th, 2020 Administration Committee meeting. I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor McBride, seconded by Councillor Loreen. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the Administration Committee meeting minutes? Seeing none. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. With that, we move on to the action items list. Were there any questions or comments on the list? Seeing and hearing none. On to 8.1, new business amendments. Amendments to the fees and charges policy, Schedule A. So we'll get this on the table. Recommendation is that Inuvik Town Council hereby approves of amending the fees and charges policy FM021 Schedule A to include the recommended changes to fees charged for squash, drop zone, and the fitness center for the duration of phase 2 of the GNWT Emerging Wisely Plan. May I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor McBride, seconded by Councillor Salatke. This item's open for discussion. Were there any questions or comments? Seeing, Councillor McBride.
Reading through it, I'm really impressed. Somebody's done an awful lot of work in putting this together. It's extremely well done, well laid out. So that's my comment.
Thank you for that. Anything further? Seeing none, with that, we'll call it to vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
So moved. Sorry. We do not have any bylaws this evening, so we can move to the department head reports. We had the variance report for the period ending May 31st, 2020. Recommendation is that town council hereby approves the variance report for the period ending May 31st, 2020. May I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor McBride. Seconded by Councillor Loreen. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the variance report? I see Councillor Wainman has joined us now as well.
Yes, I finally figured it out again.
All right, so we're just on 10.1 variance report. And I did not see any questions or comments, so we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Under information items, we had the Aurora Research Institute notice, as well as the updated strategic priorities chart, which has updates from administration. There's actually quite a few items that had been completed at the last round of the chart. And so many departments have either moved old items off the list and new items on, and have reshuffled in some ways kind of priorities now that we've seen COVID come along. Grant, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
The only thing I want to thank the directors and the managers for when we met, taking a good hard look at where we are in the priorities and aligning them with what we understand council are requesting. And with the COVID and some of the other things, a few things have been delayed a little bit, but as you can see by some of the dates on there, but overall, I think the next step would be for council to review it and just to ensure that your priorities are still valid, and we can move from there.
Thank you. Is there any further comment from council at this time on the document? Seeing none. All right, I see that Detachment Commander Tom has joined us, so we can go back up to 4.1, the RCMP report. We'll hand the mic to you, Coco. And Steph, looks like.
Yeah.
Steph knows more than I do. She's the boss, actually.
You can talk now.
Can everybody hear me? I
Yes.
think the concerns that were raised in the email that her worship sent us was the two parks inside the town limits. So I think that we did a little bit of brainstorming, and I think that basically it's up to what council deems necessary for those parks for the enforcement part of it. Like we have no problem assisting with that. So if like say you guys want to take action, like no alcohol in that park, then that's the action that we would take. But again, that comes up to council if they want to go with that. So I'm open to suggestions. We don't have all the answers to all that stuff, but we know that we do get a lot of traffic through that park. And there's I think the one evening we pulled up, there's like 3 or 4 fights there within a matter of like a half an hour. So with different individuals. So basically it's a free for all. And with all the CERB money coming in, I think the last time I did a rant and rave with the mayor in that the liquor store shelves looked like the North Mart shelves during spring breakup. They were bare. So that's a problem. When I see that, that means that our call volume goes up for domestic violence, for assaults, and basically my main concern is the domestic violence against women, right? So that's where our call volume goes, and it's like on the weekends we're doing I think 15 calls per night shift, and then we're doing like 10 plus for day shift. So that's if we're doing like 25 to 30 calls per day just on the weekend to maintain that, then it means that the 2 or 3 members that we have working are tied up considerably, and so that means your park is going to get left untouched for enforcement part, right? So that's where I'm at with that. So I'm open to suggestions, feedback, constructive criticism. Like I said, we don't have all the answers, but we don't mind participating. So we're open.
Great, thank you, Coco. Councillor Salaki, you had a question?
I'm sorry, I've been off sick for a week and I don't know if I missed an email. What exactly are you referring to in regards to an email about parks? I'm assuming it's about alcohol, but I'm kind of missing something here.
At our last council meeting under council concerns, Council Wainman had brought a couple concerns forward about alcohol, partying stuff in both the River Park and in Happy Valley. And so I relayed those concerns to Coco, and then we've had a back and forth a little bit on email leading up to tonight. So
Thank you, that jogs my memory. I appreciate it.
no problem. Councillor Wood, you had a question?
Not really a question, but I'd like to commend the RCMP and in particular yourself for the donation of the bicycle to the young lady. I thought that was good, especially in these times where the RCMP and law enforcement in general need something positive. So you people here have always been great, and I just want to recognize that.
Well, I've always told everyone that the detachment here, I'm the gatekeeper, right? I'm 100% abo. So it starts with me. So the example starts with me, with the team. And I think that if you lead by example as leadership, then it's pretty easy for the rest of your people to fall in line with that stuff. So, and I have an open door policy with my crew here. So there's nothing that I'm not scared to address when it comes to complaints from the public or from the leadership or anybody else that comes through the door. It doesn't matter if it's somebody on the homeless side or if it's somebody from council or somebody that's a business person. The door is always open. There's no reason why nobody can't come here to talk to me directly, to bring any concerns forward for us to address, right? So I think
Well, doing that, you set a good example, and I want to thank you for that.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Great, thank you. Was there any further questions for RCMP? Councillor Salaki?
I don't know if this should wait till council concerns, but since you are on the line now, I've had the same phone call and question from a lot of people, and it goes back to that question of leading by example, and it goes to the fire that was set on a few weeks ago. A lot of people in town are aware of who was involved and that there hasn't really been anything said. I know they're youth, and I know there is a line there, and I'm not asking to out these kids right here on this line. But there has been a lot of question as kids in the past have been asked to, as an example of what they've done, and everyone knows they've done something wrong, go in and apologize to those in question, the firefighters that had to do things. Nothing's happened, so I'm not sure if there's a plan or an action plan. It is a huge topic of conversation that everyone knows who did it, and kids haven't stepped forward to apologize or anything. So I'm just wondering if there's something in place or a plan in place and a plan going forward. These aren't the last kids that are going to do something underage that, you know, a little bit of public humility might help stop some of this action.
I think
So-
Steph has a couple answers there.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm the lead investigator on that file, and I'm actually working with the youth that were involved in that file. I have a background in criminology and psychology, and actually publicly outing youth has proven not to work. Embarrassment is not a way to educate children or to get them to follow the rules, I will say that. So what I've done is I've been in contact with these youth and their parents every week. I'm talking with them. They are very apologetic. We are working on, unfortunately right now, diversion is not taking any new clients. So I have to do the diversion myself. So I am trying to work with, the fire chief was looking into some fire safe programs that I could probably put one of these youths through. Two of the youths were actually under the age of being able to be held criminally responsible. So their parents actually wanted them to go through something. So I went out of my way, and they actually spent 3 hours with me last week cleaning up parks in the community and fixing damage that was done at the skate park. So they have completed their diversion, which I think was suitable for their age. So I'm just waiting on the older youth. It's going to take a bit more time because I have to implement the diversion myself, and that's on top of all my other work that I have to do as well for other calls I take and other investigational files. So it is being addressed. It is serious. I am trying to find a way to get the community to know that these boys are sorry. There's been talk of letters. I'm just trying to figure out how to distribute that to people in that community without outing the youth and keeping their privacy safe because they are youth. So I hope that addresses your issues.
That's really wonderful to hear. And I think next time I hear people say nothing's being done, these kids are being allowed to get away with it, it's really good to know that you were on it because you have been working really hard with the youth and making sure that this goes forward. So I'm really happy to hear that. And I'm happy to say that if this comes up again, I can say, no, they're on it. The kids are remorseful and are doing something. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for your question. I understand that there would be concerns if people don't know what's going on.
Were there any other questions right now? Seeing hands up. All right, with that, we'll say thank you to Coco and Steph for your time this evening. And we hope that we have you back at our monthly RCMP presentation at council, whether it's Zoom or in person. So now that Steph's
anytime, your worship. All good. Thank you very much. Yep.
And there's Paint the Police truck coming up on Saturday, so everybody stop by.
Great, thank you. All right, with that, we can move on to number 12, which is council concerns. Were there any concerns to be brought forward this evening? I am seeing none. Oh, Councillor Salatke, go ahead.
So a lot of people have a lot of questions regarding the squash courts and the gym and the numbers, especially for the squash court. You're only allowed one at a time, and people are asking a lot of questions about if you live in the same household. And I don't know if this has been addressed or discussed, but a lot of concern about what other squash courts in the community are doing. I had a phone call from someone who's on the board of the squash club, and I guess no one talked to them. And so they have a lot of questions and concerns. And also with the gym, you know, I know they said they used the sign-in sheets for when the busy times were, but as someone who has used the gym every morning at 6 a.m. and see 15 people in there, there has been the question of not using the swipe cards for the timelines. And I understand that you don't want staff starting at 5 a.m. to clean the gym, but it seems there's not a lot of time for people who work a regular Monday to Friday schedule to be able to actually access the fitness center. So there've been a lot of concerns already about when can they use the gym? How is this going to be possible? So I don't know if there's a way to come back to what's been decided in a couple of weeks and say, like, maybe we could add another hour or two, or maybe we could look at the schedule. But there's a lot of questions in the community as to some of these things.
Thank you.
I
Please.
can answer those questions if you'd like. Regarding the squash courts, as it stands right now, the information we have under the public health order is that only one person in the court. We also asked the question of if they're in the same household. And at this point in time, there's been no change on it. We will continue to ask and see and try and come up with, but based on the order and our understanding right now is that on the squash, it's one person and one person only. Regarding the gym, in our framework, Emerging Wisely framework that we did, and in some of the documentation, we have said that we have the potential to change based on the observations of what's happening and it's going. So it's been 2 days now. So we need a little time just to see any trends and things like that. But we are reviewing it as we go. Like I say, it's only been 2 days. So until we can just see and see where the requests are coming from and some comments and stuff like that, then we'll move forward.
Would you recommend then people who want to use the gym outside of the current times that are listed to call in and request it, so you have information that people are wanting to use those times now? Because right now they won't be, because they can't use the timelines that have been given.
They can contact the MSC and say we would like to have it at these times, and we can look and see what we can do there, depending on the volume, and obviously we would have to talk to Protect NWT and Public Health as to what we would be allowed to do from a cleaning point of view and things like that. We're open to suggestions. We are open to suggestions. There's no question about that. And so if people want to give us some idea and throw some suggestions out there, we can take a look at it from a logistics point of view, from a staffing point of view as well.
Thank you, Grant.
Thanks, Grant.
Anything further under council concerns this evening?
Yeah, do we have any idea when we're going back to regular council meetings in front of each other at our tables there, being that our desks are separated out pretty good?
Grant, any input there? I haven't heard anything, but.
Under the current order now that government offices can open, obviously we do have some issues with the physical distancing, just the way our building, our council chamber set up. We have 2 councilors sitting, basically arm to arm. So that right now I don't think would be possible. However, we can do some research and see what other councils are doing, and I can get back to council on that.
Okay, thank you, Grant.
I will mention that with it being open, and that if some councilors want to come into the council chambers, they're certainly welcome during the meeting and sit here. It's just that it's the physical distancing issue that we may have to address.
Thank you. All right, was there anything further then? Seeing none. With that, we do have one in-camera item tonight, and I will be leaving this part of the call to go upstairs and take over Grant's computers. So I will look for a motion to move in camera.